closer to the post. With Hickory Ridge taking on Olympic. Hickory Ridge, one of the toughest teams in our area, and they showed why in this one. The Raging Bulls win this one easily, sweeping all three sets to beat Olympic. Hickory Ridge 20-6 on the season and wrapping up their regular season play. They're currently second in conference play. Olympic 9-15 on the season. They're currently fourth in their standings.
All right, let's take a look at the next game. From one Ridge to the other, Marvin Ridge taking on Cuthbertson in this match. All season long, we've told you how tough the Mavericks are. They had no problem in this one. They get the clean sweep, 3-0. Marvin Ridge continuing their perfect 12-0 conference record and 26-2 on the season. Look for them to go deep in the state playoffs. As for Cuthbertson, they're 17-8 on the season. Nothing to slouch out either.
Absolutely not. Hey, final match to show you. We have East Forsyth taking on Reagan, and once again, we have a sweep, ladies and gentlemen. East Forsyth wins this one in 3 straight sets. The Eagles, impressive 14-9 on the 2025 season. They're 7-3 in conference play, good enough for third in the standings of the Central Piedmont 7A, 8A conference. As for Reagan, they are 24-9 on the season, and they also have a 7-3 conference record. They are second in conference play.
All right, it's time to take a look and tell you who won our Play of the Week poll from last Friday night's action on the football field. We put up 3 plays on Monday and had you decide. And this week, the honor goes to Zach Cullen from Sun Valley High School. If you remember, he was our Varsity Spotlight feature athlete last week, and he must have liked the limelight, right? He stays in it this past Friday night. Cullen broke this 63-yard run on the first play from scrimmage against rival Charlotte Catholic. He also had a pick 6 in this game as Sun Valley rolled over Charlotte Catholic. Congrats to Zach Cullen. We're going to have more coming up for you.
Yep, he's absolutely one of the best in the state, I do believe. All right, we'll have 3 more plays for you to vote on next Monday, starting at noon on our website, wccbcharlotte.com. And coming up, we'll check in on conference standings from the Gridiron and how the private schools postseason is progressing. More Varsity Spotlight coming at you next.
Welcome back to Varsity Spotlight. We are just a few minutes away from kickoff in the waning weeks of the regular season.
Hard to believe, that's right, but we also have to take a look at private school action where they've already reached the postseason and a handful of their fall sports actually.
Yeah, let's take a look. Starting out with volleyball in the 4A bracket, a couple of games already in progress. See top-seeded Charlotte Latin hosting Providence Day. Providence Day beating Charlotte Christian in the first round earlier this week to get to this point. And then number 4, Charlotte Country Day hosting Durham Academy in a big matchup. So should be some good action there.
All right, let's head to the pitch where the top-seeded Covenant Day squad is coming off a bye up against Charlotte Latin, who beat Providence Day in the first round earlier this week. Charlotte Country Day hosted Wesleyan Christian Academy. Both of those matchups currently in progress as well. So good luck, of course, to everybody involved in that state soccer tournament. A lot of good action there.
Absolutely. Now we talk about the postseason, and we're getting closer and closer when it comes to football. Kicking off the Week 9 season, or Week 9 of the season really matters going in.
Right. We've talked about each of the game, how important they are. Let's take a look at some of the conference matchups.
Absolutely.
And see what we got our standings.
Yep, we've got the Southern Carolina Conference right here for you. Weddington, we of course know, undefeated in conference play. They've sat at that top spot since it started, and from pretty much, it's just been a hodgepodge of whoever wants to go up and down there. On that side, you see Porter Ridge and Sun Valley kind of going back and forth. Sun Valley got the big win against Catholic last week.
Right.
Really put them in running to be only about a game or two out.
Can anybody catch them?
That's the question, right? And you're going to see tonight, Weddington up against Porter Ridge.
Yep, that's a big one.
It is a huge matchup that could determine how things are going to go. You're going to see Catholic and Marvin Ridge as well.
Yep.
Sun Valley's up against Piedmont, so we'll see. They'll probably stick around this area, maybe jump up if Porter Ridge loses.
Right.
Could set up a really interesting Week 10 and 11.
Yep.
All right, let's take a look at the next conference now. We see the Greater Metro 4A conference, or not 4A anymore, the Greater Metro 7A, 8A, whatever have you. You see Olympic up there at the top. They have a 4-0 record. They've really impressed in conference play. They got a big win against West Cabarrus last Friday night.
Right.
So that's a really big matchup. And then you see A.L. Brown, Hickory Ridge, and Coxmill taking the reins. Hickory Ridge getting that win over Coxmill last Friday, putting him in 4. So there's going to be a couple matchups in this top 5 that should really shell things out going forward.
Any slip-ups?
Yeah.
And that's going to scramble that conference all up.
Especially because it's such a big conference.
Right.
There's a lot more teams in this.
Right.
Berry that you see, a lot of different teams that are in it. So the top 5 really is that much more cemented. Now we take a look at our last conference here in the Catawba Shores Conference. We talk about it tonight. Corvian up against Davidson. Both teams undefeated in conference play, taking on each other. That will be a huge game for this conference.
Right. Corvian, of course, want to make a statement.
Yeah, look at they want to get back to where they were.
Exactly.
And now they're trying to do so, and they're going to take on pretty much their toughest opponent yet in Davidson. Well, at least in terms of a team that they do have the chance to beat. Of course, they went up against Butler earlier in the year, lost in that game, but have been on fire ever since. So this should be a really big game for Corvian and Davidson. Davidson, whom had a really tough non-conference schedule, so this is where they're going to try to cement themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. Real quick, let's talk one more time about tonight's game of the week on MeTV. You got Charlotte Latin, Providence Day. Keys for Charlotte Latin, maybe.
Really, like you said, taking advantage of if Providence Day comes out slow, right? That has happened a handful of times, although their coming out slow is about 10 miles an hour faster than most teams in the area. So, but if Charlotte Latin can capitalize on that, and you have to have really no margin of error when you're playing Providence Day.
Yeah, and Providence Day, like Coach said, they got to start fast.
Yep.
And I know that 3-point loss last year's state championship, that's still in their minds. So that's
just don't beat yourself.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, we'll see what happens there.
Absolutely right. That's it for this week's Varsity Spotlight. Stay tuned for our WCC Sports Game of the Week between Charlotte Latin and Providence Day, kicking off in just a few minutes over on MeTV.
And right after that, head over to WCCB. We'll bring you all the scores and highlights from Week 9 on the Blitz. That's during the 10 o'clock news. We will see you then. Enjoy your football Friday night. Enjoy the weekend. And we will see you next week right here on Varsity Spotlight.